Rape swept sounds to someone who isn't really in the know. If you're not super familiar with Gary's mod or the game modes within it, you probably think it's some weird, insane, degenerate add-on that glorifies sexual violence in a messed up way. But while it's definitely crude, that's honestly pretty far from the truth. To make sense of all of it and provide some important context as to why an add-on like this would even be super popular to begin with, we have to go way back to around 2012. Gmod is thriving, there's an insane amount of new players coming to the game, and there's more active servers than there ever has been in the entire history of the game. Most of these servers are either Dark RP servers or Trouble in Terrace Town servers, two Gmod game modes that remain the most popular even to this day. We're mostly interested in Dark RP. Dark RP has always been a proving ground for new Gmod add-ons and roleplay features. Some servers might employ a hobo role that can throw boots at people's head, and another server might experiment with a kidnapper role that can tie people up and hold them for ransom in the context of roleplay. But sometime around 2012, seemingly for no reason honestly, a weird, somewhat disturbing trend started to materialize in just about every single Dark RP server that there was at the time. A brand new role for players to take on, simply called Rapist. I'm sure you can imagine what this role did, I probably don't have to explain it to you. Players who selected the Rapist role were equipped with a weapon that allowed them to force other players into a very crude animation sequence that basically put them in the third person and depicted their player model being sexually assaulted. While it's clearly an incredibly childish animation and the execution is almost too silly to even be mad at, the concept is undeniably kind of disturbing by itself, and the name of the add-on certainly isn't doing it any favors. So, with this being such a giant trend in the Gmod community, one can only imagine there was some pretty fierce pushback to it, or at the very least that some small minority of players didn't find the weapon very funny. But I mean, no, there honestly just wasn't. Seemingly nobody had a problem with the weapon, and most people just saw it as a fairly lighthearted gag that could be used to pad out content for their TTT and Dark RP servers. While seemingly nobody was mad at the content of the add-on itself, at the very least the name was clearly off-putting to some, enough for there to have been an alternate version of the sweat named Struggle Snuggle. It's the exact same weapon, it just goes by a name that's a bit less terrible. The add-on is honestly almost too stupid to be angry at, and it's executed in such an insane, immature way that wasting any amount of time being upset at it or campaigning for it to be removed would be pretty foolish and probably just a waste of everyone's time. Even deep into 2014, when the virtual rape Gamergate controversy was going on, nobody seemed to even consider pointing at Gmod as an example of a game that enabled that stuff. If anything, I'd say that entire controversy only strengthened the relationship that the Gary's Mod community had with the add-on, and people started to see it as sort of a symbol of just how free and lawless Gary's Mod was. For better or for worse, for a lot of Gary's Mod players, the rape swap was just a reminder that, unlike modern games, anything goes in Gary's Mod. But, like any corner of the internet where anything goes, it wasn't long until someone came along to try and tame it. It's important to understand just how hands-off Facepunch has historically been with Gary's Mod. While they provided the game with frequent updates for decades, they really weren't in the business of moderation. Copyrighted content, violent add-ons, racist imagery, it didn't really matter, and so long as it wasn't illegal, there was pretty much a 0% chance that Valve or Facepunch was going to do anything about it. And that's just how things were for a very long time. Even to this day, there are some very questionable add-ons in the workshop that nobody really even pays attention to. Which is why it came as such a shock when, in April of 2021, for the first time in the history of Gary's Mod, Facepunch Studios and Gary Newman himself came out against the rape swap add-on in a public statement nearly a decade after it was first made. It has come to our attention that some community servers provide content that is simply put, unacceptable. While we normally do not interfere with community servers and the content they provide, in this case it is necessary to make it clear that sexual violence content is not acceptable in Gary's Mod, be that on the Steam Workshop or in community servers. Please adjust your servers to conform to the rules outlined in the following article. Servers found breaking the rules outlined in the article after 15th of April 2021 will be delisted from the in-game server browser. This move essentially killed the rape swap overnight, and it meant if you were a server owner, you had to choose between keeping it enabled or basically not being allowed to exist at all. I'd go on a limb and say that was a pretty easy choice for most people. In addition to the threat of basically killing any server that hosted Swep, Facepunch also for the first time in history went in and manually marked every single reupload of the add-on as incompatible with Gmod, which effectively meant that it just wouldn't work. To this day, you can probably still find perfectly fine reuploads in the Gmod workshop that have been manually rendered unusable by Facepunch themselves. Weirdly, a small community of reuploaders formed around the time the add-on was taken down, and to this day, reuploads of the rape swap still make their way onto the Gmod workshop, cleverly disguised as a seemingly unrelated add-on. The length some people will go. So, all that seems pretty cut and dry, right? There was an add-on that promoted sexual violence, Facepunch decided it wasn't in line with the content they wanted in the game, and they decided to take action against it. Well, when you start to dig a little deeper into the motivation behind blacklisting the add-on, the story starts to get a little bit more interesting. In the following days, weeks, and even months after the add-on was banned, people kind of predictably expressed their concern and anger at the add-on being targeted. Many people called it the end of Gmod and predicted that this was going to be the start of Facepunch ruthlessly moderating Gary's Mod until there was no cool content made for the game anymore. I guess it wasn't necessarily defending the content of the add-on that was banned, it was the fact that an add-on got banned at all and the precedent that it set going forward. Gary, of course, being Gary, took to the forums to address this controversy in the bluntest way possible. What are you guys rallying against? I don't want people joining servers to be offered the opportunity to be a rapist or a pedophile. Is this likely to impact your enjoyment of Gary's Mod? My test is, if my mom read about it in the newspaper, could I justify its existence? I can easily justify the existence of games with violence and murder. I'd struggle to justify why I would allow games with sexual violence in them. Like it or not, that's my name above the door, and it's going to conform to my morals. Obviously, in the middle of a heated debate about censorship, this was hardly what people wanted to hear. But honestly, it made a whole lot of sense. The game is literally called Gary's Mod. I think it's safe to say that most people would not want their name permanently tied to a game where you molest people. In the days immediately after the add-on being banned, a user on the Steam forums claimed that he was the one who had tipped Gary off about the add-on to begin with, and that the reason he had reported it was because there was a depraved server out there genuinely using it to try and simulate sexual abuse. Whether or not this is true, I have no idea. But I will admit that there's a non-zero chance that some sick group of people have, in the past, used the add-on less as a joke and more as an actual simulation of their dark fantasies. Which honestly is an incredibly fair point and genuinely a valid reason for the add-on having to go. So, that was that. 2021 passed and the rape swap was gone. Server owners were on their toes and started to be more careful with the type of content they allowed in their servers, and most people who actually even cared probably just downloaded the Struggle Snuggle add-on from the workshop as a replacement, considering it was basically the same thing anyway. It was a really strange time to be a Gary's Mod player, and while I did personally kind of fear what type of content was going to be next on Gary's chopping block, I definitely don't miss the days of having to listen to debates about simulated sexual assault for months on end. So what does this all mean for the future of Gary's Mod? Well, I'm obviously not gonna sit here and defend something literally called the rape swap, because why would I do that? The fact that Facepunch took any action at all does kind of call into question the Wild West type of reputation that Gary's Mod has had for so long. I can't blame Gary for not wanting to be associated with animated sexual violence, no matter how silly it might be. But I also can't help but feel that this is the first step into a more regulated Gmod space. Is it literally George Orwell's book in 1984? No. But I do think, if anything, it kind of sets the scene for what we can expect from Sandbox in terms of content moderation. It's not perfect, and it's home to a lot of detestable things, but I think we should all remember to enjoy Gary's Mod while we can, because there really isn't ever going to be anything quite as wild and free as Gmod ever again. Sorry, I forgot what this video was even about at this point, but listen, I think we should just nuke the entire Gary's Mod roleplay community. Honestly, I don't think anything good has, literally, I don't think anything good has ever come from there. I'm just saying. Thanks for watching. I've been Ratlobber. Peace.
I hope you're having a lovely day. In a video I did a week ago, I talked about how Reddit is killing their brand in the worst possible way. The TLDR to that video is that Reddit is changing their API pricing to the point where many third-party applications are not going to be able to function anymore. Many of these third-party applications, you may wonder, what right do they have? Why can't they just raise their prices to their users? They literally can't, because the App Store terms of service says that if you have annual pricing for your your app, you can't just change it on a whim. Many of these applications are charging a certain amount of money based on Reddit's API pricing. They cannot change these contracts that they have with thousands upon thousands of users mid-contract. If you have an annual billing cycle and you say it's $12 a year or $10 a year, you can't just say, okay, now it's $30 a year in the middle of a contract that somebody has signed. This is presenting a problem for many third-party applications people use to access Reddit. And there are many reasons that people use these third-party tools to access Reddit. The first is that the accessibility features in the stock application are garbage. So if you're blind and using a screen reader, well, no Reddit for you if you're using the stock application versus a third-party one. The second reason is moderation. The moderation tools that Reddit makes available are complete and utter trash. The moderation tools that are made available in third-party applications are much better. This is honestly less about the third-party application thing and more about the CEO of Reddit giving a giant middle finger to the community. Why does this feel like such a middle finger? Because these moderators that are doing all of the work are not paid. When you think about Reddit as a platform, the people who contribute content that make people actually want to go there don't get paid. The people that choose what content gets upvoted or downvoted so that you have a front page or a subreddit that is relevant to people viewing it are not paid. But above all, the moderators that make this community what it is, that allow this community to be a well-curated garden rather than just a penis pill spam, are not paid. The entire group of people that create value for this website get nothing. And it's one thing to do this work for free. They're happy to do the work for free. It's another when you take away tools from them that made it easier for them to do work for free and don't work with them at all. That is a giant middle finger. And one of the things that I said about the blackout that they were planning to have is that it wasn't enough. So I had commented and said, when you guys say that you want to do a 2-day blackout, is to control freaks and narcissistic pricks like the CEO of Reddit. When you say that you are going to do a 2-day blackout, what they hear is we can screw you over and still have you as customers for 363 days of the year. And many people commented in this video saying, no, you know what we're doing is we're showing them what we're capable of. And once we show them what we're capable of, that means that they're going to No. And like, I understand where you're coming from. I really do. But I've dealt with people like this before in my personal and my business life. They do not believe that you have value. You, the user that actually generates content, have no value. You, the moderator that for free, make sure that there is not penis pill spam and a bunch of garbage in your particular community, you have no value. The person that posts guides and how to fix your personal finance, fix your relationships, cook better, whatever it is, all of the content on Reddit that makes the website what it is, it's not you that has value. It's his servers. It's his APIs. It's the domain name and the logo and the parts that he can trademark. He thinks you have no value. But above all, he thinks that you are an addict, a degenerate addict that is going to come right back. It's unfortunate, but it's true. What I said is that when you say you're leaving the website for 2 to 3 days, we have a 3-day blackout, what men like him hear is, oh, you guys are going to be back for the other 362 days a year because you are all addicted degenerates that cannot withhold. This will blow over. And he says the quiet part out loud, as can be read from his own memo. Starting last night, about 1,000 subreddits have gone private. We anticipate many of them will come back by Wednesday, as many have said as much. While we knew this was coming, it is a challenge. There's a lot of noise with this one. Among the noisiest we've seen. Please know that our teams are on it. And like all blowups on Reddit, this one will pass as well. We have not seen any significant revenue impact so far, and we will continue to monitor. When somebody tells you who they are, but more importantly, when somebody tells you what they think of you, believe them. You are not a person that cares about accessibility for blind people on what is one of the most important news aggregators on the internet. You are not a person that believes that people who already work for free should not have important tools that make their job possible ripped away from them. You're noise. That's what you are to him. Noise. Not a contributor with a real concern. Not a user that should be valued. You're noise. You're nothing but noise. People like this understand one thing, not a 2-day blackout, an indefinite one. He doesn't even think that there's been an impact. The 2-day blackout has not done anything. What will do something is when all the people that create content for this website, that curate it by upvoting good stuff and downvoting bad stuff that people find relevant, the people that moderate the website to ensure that it is not filled with penis pill spam and garbage, all decide, you know what? I'm not leaving for 2 days or 3 days. I'm leaving every day. I'm not coming back until you give us the basics that we want, the ability to have our moderation tools back, or if you're going to make it harder to moderate the website, how about you pay us for making sure that your community doesn't suck? How about you pay us for the work that we do to add value to this website? The value of your website is not the value of the brand and the trademark and what you could resell the domain name for. It is the content that is created by the community that you are shitting on by ignoring them with every one of their basic questions. They did a community outreach thing recently on Reddit where the CEO was going to speak to the audience, was going to speak to the community. He ignored every single question that was not some softball garbage, and he tipped it off by lying about a conversation that he had with one of the app developers who had to release transcripts of that conversation to clear his name because he was being falsely maligned and accused by a narcissistic cunt of a CEO. Informative and unfortunate. The funniest part of this entire thing is that this infrastructure that they're hoping to, oh my God, they're hoping for a good IPO. This is hysterical. Not only are people leaving their website left and right because they hate him and his leadership. The site crashed as people were leaving. To be clear, not the Slashdot effect where you have so many people visiting the site that it crashes. It crashed as people were leaving. Reddit blackout crashed the site as Reddit users realized they're in the power position. According to Reddit, the blackout was responsible for the problems. A significant number of subreddits shifting to private caused some expected stability issues and we're working on resolving the anticipated issue. Okay, again, to be clear, I am not a programmer, I am not a sysadmin, I am not a dude that runs websites. I'm a guy that fixes MacBook motherboards and pets a cat that you can't see because he doesn't know how to set the ISO on his camera. I know, you probably couldn't even see there was a kitty there. So you saw a little green of her eyes. She's so cute. But in all seriousness, how do you have a website where you're closing down sections of it so people can no longer view it? You have less posts, you have less views, you have less users. Your infrastructure is so bad that with less people using your infrastructure, it crashes. I'm going to throw something out. This is going to be crazy, but I'm going to throw it out there. The internet before 2006 wasn't that bad a place. It really wasn't. You had private forums where you did not have a company that could just take away things at whim. You had private forums where you were actually kind of able to have your own personal communities and curate your own personal communities, and people would register on different communities. And this was even before OAuth became popular, so that you could have one Gmail or Facebook login and use that to log in to 30 different websites without registering. People used to register to private websites and they used to support these communities, not only by posting content that they found useful and helping to moderate them for free, but they also used to support them financially. They would have a donate button when they needed resources to run the hosting and to run the forum and to pay for the infrastructure. People would actually be willing to chip in because these communities provided genuine value to people that weren't getting that somewhere else. And dare I say it, the value of Reddit versus having r/2x chromosomes or r/Kevin Samuel somewhere else, I don't see it. And I think that he's going to find out the hard way that, again, the last 10 to 15 years, there's just been a bunch of investors throwing a bunch of money on stuff that didn't really financially make sense. And yeah, the value this entire time has not really been in the company. It's been in the user base. And when the users leave, the company loses value. But in order for the company to lose its value, in order for them to learn their lesson, in order for us to send a message that an internet where you are tracked all the time, where you are advertised to all the time, where you are beaten and abused all the time, is not the internet that we want to see going into the future, we have to stop using this shit. We genuinely have to stop using this stuff. We have to stop feeding the beast. Because the thing is, the beast is so confident that we're going to come back that they literally say out loud, we do anticipate many will come back, as many have said as such. We have not seen any significant revenue impact. Our teams are on it, and like all blow-ups, this will pass as well. Here's one of the things I learned. One of the things I've noticed over the years, one of the things I commented on recently, is that my videos used to not do well unless they front paged on Reddit. The videos of mine that have 500,000 views or 1 million views or 2 million views, these are all videos that front page Reddit numerous times. During the blackout, I posted a video on Amazon, and not only did this video get over 700,000 views in one day, it got commented on by Elon Musk. I mean, one of my coworkers, and I quote, said, I hope he doesn't find Lewis's other Elon and Tesla videos in the channel. I hope he does. I personally loved seeing that a video that barely made it anywhere on Reddit did incredibly well. Because even I had my doubts. What would it be like the next time a large company does something that's horrible if there's no Reddit? And it seems like it doesn't really matter much at all. So I'm not posting to this website anymore. I have no intention to post to Reddit anymore. And I suggest that you stop using it as well. Your community does not have to die. It will simply change in form. Life is filled with change. Career change, familial change, relationship change, and yes, online community change. There's an IRC channel that right now I've been in for approximately 20 years. This is very